Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, as we continue down the road to WrestleMania, these are the 10 very best WrestleMania matches in history, in the 33-year history. Number 10, we have from WrestleMania 3, a iconic moment, iconic match in WrestleMania history for the Intercontinental title. We had Intercontinental Champion Randy Macho Man Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. As a modern, I guess you'd say modern day wrestling fan, I started watching professional wrestling mid to late 90s. It's a wholly different style now, you know, the 90s and the 2000s, now the 2018, than it was at 1988, which is when WrestleMania 3 was. But going back and rewatching all these Manias, I have a sense of how good some of these guys was, such as Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This match, I gave 4.5 to it. And in that era, it was a freaking dream match. Steamboat getting a victory. So yeah, if you ever have a chance, go back on the network and rewatch some of the older stuff. There's some hard stuff to get through. The early Survivor Series are rough to get through, without a doubt. The early Manias, some of the matches are like this match. It's like there's little gems in there, but the vast majority of it's kind of rough to get through. Number 9 on the list comes from one of the most iconic WrestleManias of all time, which they're comparing 34 to, which was, hey, 17 years ago, WrestleMania 17. The main event, the WWF title, no disqualification. And WWF champion, The Rock, versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Of their big WrestleMania feud, was it 15, 17, and 19. 15 was kind of the kickoff of everything. It was good. 17, this is at the height of the Attitude Era, really. This was the height of Monday Night Wars. This was when you weren't getting anybody hotter than The Rock and Stone Cold. They go out there, put on a freaking hell of a fight. It really wasn't a match. It was a fight. The Rock losing his title to Stone Cold. I gave it 4.5. I think those are the matches that we can look back on 17 years later, you know, and then down the line going, wow, that was an iconic match. Stone Cold getting the victory there. Next on the list comes from WrestleMania 21. This was actually a non-title match, but it was two of the greats in the business. It was Hall of Fame, Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, versus the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. Hall of Famer in his own right. Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer here. Kurt getting the victory over Shawn, but that was at a point in time where you're building a Kurt Angle up. And what's the better way to build Kurt Angle than have him beat Mr. WrestleMania at WrestleMania? I gave it 4.5 also. It was great. Now, these next 7 matches, I gave them all 4 3/4. There are 4 of them that the famous Dave Meltzer gave 5-star to. I believe most of them he gave 5-star to. One of them that I think is the best match in WrestleMania history, he didn't think so. Whatever. I was there live. But anyway, so number 7 on the list, 4 3/4 star, WrestleMania 26, The Streak versus the Career. The Streak of the Phenom, The Undertaker, versus the career of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. Main Event, in the main event. The build to that was, as I would actually compare it to the build to this year's Cena Taker that's not happening, that never was announced. How Cena came out and was like, okay, you know, I want to match at WrestleMania, I need to do this. Failed. Okay, I want to match at WrestleMania, I need to do this. Failed. He did everything he could to get a match at WrestleMania by earning it. And like he's even said in promos, I don't want just handing the match. I want to earn it. I'm not taking a spot from a young guy. I want to earn it. He never earned it. Okay, fine. If I can't earn a match, I'll call up The Undertaker. He ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. Let's do an iconic match. The build of Shawn and Taker was the same way. Shawn did the same thing. Like, I'm going to earn my spot at WrestleMania. I'm going to earn my spot at WrestleMania, and failed. Finally was like, you know what? I want a rematch versus The Undertaker. Taker said no. So he came out at Elimination Chamber, cost Taker the title, had a freaking build-up of the match. Yes, it was the same match as 25. I think it was just I wouldn't say better, but it was different enough that it intrigued me to watch. Because it was like, they can't let Shawn Michaels lose. Can they? They did. Taker won. Shawn retired. Number 6 on the list, 4 3/4, WrestleMania 20. Triple threat for the WWF title. We had champion Triple H defending the title versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus former WCW Cruiserweight champion Chris Benoit, the Crippler. Chris Benoit at this time was on the pinnacle of something special. He was something very special in the ring. I know he's a douchebag out of the ring. I know he's a killer, murderer, and asshole, and whatever other names you want to throw on it outside the ring. But inside that ring, which is what we're talking about here on Robert Sports Show, on the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, he was a world champion. WrestleMania 20. He beat two of the greatest ever, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, to win that world title. Number 5 on the list, one of the very most iconic matches of all time from WrestleMania 17. We have the WWF Tag Titles on the line in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. We had Edge and Christian versus the champions, the Dudleys, versus the Hardy Boys. 1 year earlier, we had a triangle ladder match with the same 3 participants. This year, at WrestleMania 17, let's just add tables and chairs to it. And it made for one of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania, in wrestling history. Edge and Christian winning the second, I think they won both, the first and second TLC match. I think this was TLC 2. I think SummerSlam had TLC 1. We compare matches today to this match. Number 4 on the list comes from WrestleMania 10. Matter of fact, the next 2 come from WrestleMania 10. Shows you how good the WrestleMania 10 card was. The very first match of WrestleMania 10, we had brother versus brother. We had Owen Hart, the King of Hearts, versus Bret Hart, the Hitman. The best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be. You have 2 brothers basically on the greatest stage of them all at WrestleMania just fighting each other in one of the greatest matches ever. I give it 4 3/4. There's only 2 matches I've ever gave a true 5-star rating to. If I wanted to rewrite history, which I'm not going to, and go back and rewatch some of these matches and go, okay, maybe that's a 5-star match. Maybe I was right the first time. I'm not doing that. We move forward in life. We don't go back. We don't rewrite history. It's already happened. It's 4 3/4 star to me. Owen Hart beat his brother Bret Hart, one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. Number 3 on the list, WrestleMania 10. The second ever ladder match for the dual Intercontinental titles. We had Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon, the bad guy, versus Intercontinental Champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Little known fact, Shawn was suspended for violating the wellness policy, then wellness policy, for drug use, I guess, steroids or something, and was basically stripped of the Intercontinental title. They had a tournament, Razor won. Well, when Shawn comes back, Shawn had an Intercontinental title. Razor had an Intercontinental title. They both said they were Intercontinental Champion. There's only one way to decide this. Hang both them bad boys above the ring and let's fight for them. Having the match where the ladder wasn't the primary focus of the match was really great. Some of the ladder matches today, it's all about the ladder. This match, it's like they only had like 2 or 3 ladders. And you could hear, I think Vince at one point goes, they need to get the backup ladder out. I'm like, backup ladder? What? Now we go through like 3 ladders a match. Razor climbing the ladder, getting both titles, becoming the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. 4 3/4, 5. It just depends. When I watched it, when I rated it, I said this. I think Meltzer gave it a 5, but hey, that's great for him. Next, WrestleMania 13, number 2 on the list. non-title submission match. Bret Hart, the Hitman, versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold never tapped out. He lost the match to Bret Hart, but he never tapped out. He passed out. It was just the iconic picture of Stone Cold in the sharpshooter with blood coming out of his head and just passing out. I mean, just that picture of him, his crimson mask, and it's like, oh my God, it's iconic to WrestleMania. Bret getting the victory there. And the greatest match in WrestleMania history, to me, you might have a different list, WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. Two 47, 48-year-old guys, I guess how old they were at the time, going out there, putting on the match that they put on. Maybe they're 44, whatever, they were in their mid-40s. Putting on the match they put on for 30 minutes. Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, the Phenom, The Undertaker. That there's a benchmark of matches to me. If I had to go back and re-rate that, it might change. But we're leaving it as is. 4 3/4 star. The greatest match in WrestleMania history. Alright, stay tuned to Robert Sports Show for the road to WrestleMania. The previews are coming. Evolve 101, 102. Oh, sorry, 102, 103. Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. NXT TakeOver New Orleans. And the granddaddy of them all, the preview for WrestleMania 34. As always, thanks for watching the Robert Sports Show. And don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.